Hinky doodle, yeah, yeah, yeah. Thinky doodle, thinky.
Welcome back, deep divers. Ready to unpack another historical mystery?
Always. What fascinating corner of the past are we exploring today?
Well, let's just say it's the most wonderful time of the year to dig into this one. We're talking about the origins of Christmas.
Ah, Christmas, that magical blend of family, tradition, and maybe just a little bit of stress, right?
Exactly. But beyond the presents and the carols, there's a whole hidden history to uncover. Our source material dives deep into how Christmas came to be, especially that push and pull between pagan and Christian influences.
Sounds intriguing. I'm always fascinated by how ancient beliefs and practices shape the world we live in today.
Me too. And I have a feeling we're going to uncover some surprising connections between those ancient rituals and the traditions we still hold dear.
Let's get right into it. Where do we even begin with a holiday as layered and complex as Christmas?
Well, it might surprise you to learn that a lot of those cherished Christmas traditions we think of as timeless, decorating trees, gift-giving, feasting, those actually have roots that reach back way before the Christian era.
Oh, really? So we're talking pre-Christian pagan origins.
You've got it.
Yeah.
Think ancient Rome, the Vikings, those sorts of folks. They were already celebrating in the depths of winter long before Christmas came along.
Okay, so picture this. It's the darkest time of the year, right? The days are short, the nights are long, and everyone's craving a bit of warmth and light, both literally and figuratively. That's where these ancient winter festivals come in.
You're really setting the scene. So what kind of festivals are we talking about? What were they actually celebrating?
Well, in ancient Rome, you had Saturnalia, a week-long festival dedicated to Saturn, the god of agriculture. And believe it or not, time. It was a time for feasting, gift-giving, gambling even, all those things we associate with letting loose and having a good time.
Sounds a bit like a Roman holiday party, huh?
Exactly. And then further north, in Scandinavia, you had the Norse celebrating Yule, which revolved around the winter solstice. For them, it was all about honoring the return of the sun, the promise of new life,
So both Saturnalia and Yule were celebrations of light and renewal in the darkest part of the year. I'm starting to see some parallels with Christmas here.
You're absolutely right. And the similarities go even deeper. Both of these festivals involve decorating with evergreen boughs and trees, symbolizing life persisting through the winter. They also involved lighting fires, both for warmth and to symbolize the return of the sun.
It's amazing how these ancient practices echo in our modern Christmas traditions. But the big question is, how did these pagan celebrations get woven into what we now know as a distinctly Christian holiday?
Well, you have to think about it from the perspective of those early Christians trying to spread their faith. Imagine encountering a population deeply rooted in their own beliefs and traditions. It wouldn't be easy to convert them to a completely new way of thinking, especially when those traditions revolved around such a fundamental part of life as the changing seasons.
So they went for a more subtle approach.
Exactly. It was brilliant, really. Instead of trying to abolish those beloved pagan customs, they cleverly incorporated them into the Christian narrative, gradually layering Christian meanings onto them.
Sort of a meet people where they are kind of strategy.
Precisely. So you see things like the date of Christmas, December 25th, being strategically chosen because it already aligned with those existing midwinter festivals.
Makes sense. If people were already celebrating around that time, why not just fold it into the new faith?
Exactly. It eased the transition, made Christianity more palatable to those who might have been resistant to change, and over time, those pagan symbols and rituals took on new Christian meanings. The evergreen tree, once a symbol of enduring life, became associated with eternal life through Christ. The Yule log, originally honoring the Norse god Thor, became a symbol of the light of Christ entering the world.
It's a reminder that nothing stays static, not even centuries-old traditions. It's fascinating how they evolve and adapt over time, taking on new layers of meaning. But it wasn't all smooth sailing for Christmas, was it? Weren't there some folks who weren't too keen on this whole pagan-Christian mashup?
You're thinking of the Puritans, right? Back in the 17th century in England and America, they saw Christmas as having become too pagan, too focused on revelry and feasting.
So much so that they actually tried to ban it outright.
Oh yeah, they really did. The Puritans wanted a much stricter, less celebratory form of Christianity, one stripped of what they saw as frivolous traditions with no real biblical basis.
It's mind-blowing to think about, isn't it? Christmas as we know it almost vanished from history because of that Puritan pushback.
And their objections really highlight how much cultural and religious anxieties were wrapped up in this one holiday.
It's a reminder that Christmas has always been a bit of a battleground for different beliefs and values. But clearly, the Puritan ban didn't stick in the long run. How do we get from Christmas being outlawed to it being this family-centric, heartwarming holiday that's pretty much universally celebrated today?
Well, a lot of credit goes to Charles Dickens and his iconic story, A Christmas Carol.
Ah, good old Scrooge. Everyone loves a good redemption story.
Exactly. But it wasn't just about heartwarming sentimentality. When Dickens wrote A Christmas Carol in the 19th century, he was actually using the story to comment on the social ills of Victorian England. He emphasized themes of generosity, goodwill, and social harmony, really advocating for a more compassionate and just society.
So Dickens used A Christmas Story to address poverty, inequality, all those pressing issues of his time. Clever move.
Very much so. And his story resonated deeply with readers. It helped to reshape Christmas into the holiday we know today, a time for family, for giving, for spreading cheer.
Wow, so Dickens gave us Tiny Tim and helped redefine Christmas. That's quite a legacy. But let's be real, modern Christmas also has a pretty undeniable commercial side, right? All that shopping, all those ads. How did Santa Claus, a figure with roots in both St. Nicholas and, as we've seen, pagan folklore, become so intertwined with consumerism?
It's a fascinating evolution for sure. As Christmas became increasingly secularized and family-focused, Santa Claus rose in prominence. You know, that jolly old elf bringing gifts to all the good little boys and girls.
The embodiment of Christmas magic.
Yeah.
But it sounds like that magic got a bit commercialized along the way.
Well, you can't deny that Santa's image has been used to sell everything from toys to cars to soft drinks. The focus shifted from the original spirit of the holiday to the exchange of material goods, which, let's face it, has become a huge part of how we celebrate Christmas today.
It makes you wonder, after this deep dive into the origins of Christmas, how much of what we celebrate today truly reflects that original spirit of renewal and community versus those commercial interests?
That's a great question. And I think the answer is multifaceted, just like Christmas itself. What's clear from our exploration is that Christmas doesn't belong to any single group or time period. It's constantly evolving.
So it's not really about who can claim Christmas.
Exactly. It's more about recognizing how this amazing tapestry of traditions, beliefs, and values has been woven together over centuries, drawing from pagan rituals, Christian teachings, cultural adaptations, and those ever-evolving social values. And it's still changing even as we speak.
That's an incredible way to think about it. Christmas isn't just a date on the calendar. It's a living reflection of who we are and what we value as a society.
Precisely. And who knows what new traditions or meanings will be woven into that Christmas tapestry in the future, right?
I love that thought. It leaves us with a lot to ponder as we deck the halls and roast those chestnuts this year. Thanks for joining me on this deep dive into the heart of Christmas. And to all our listeners, happy holidays and happy exploring.
Dinky doodle, yeah, yeah.